Tottenham 3, Manchester United 0. EPL match played on 29 September 2024 at Old Trafford. Match analysis. Erik Ten Hag, the Manchester United manager, seems to have orchestrated his downfall with his repeated questionable decisions, particularly in the match against Tottenham. Many fans, including myself, have been pointing out that Alejandro Garnacho has consistently underperformed, especially in big games like those in the Premier League and against other top clubs. Garnacho's lack of impact on matches has been glaring, yet Ten Hag stubbornly continues to start him. The same applies to Bruno Fernandes, whose passing and crossing have been subpar, and today, both players' performances were once again disappointing. Garnacho was unable to make any significant contribution, and his performance was poor, to say the least. A 3 out of 10, if we're being generous. He lacked the pace and physicality needed to trouble Tottenham's defence. Similarly, Bruno Fernandes, as we've seen too often this season, was ineffective. His passes were wayward, his crossing was off, and he struggled to impose himself on the game. The team conceded within the first 3 minutes, with Diego Dalot being directly responsible for the goal. Dalot's inability to keep pace with Brennan Johnson allowed Spurs to score easily. Things went from bad to worse when Bruno made a careless challenge on James Maddison, earning himself a red card in the 42nd minute, reducing United to 10 men. There was no need for such a rash tackle, especially in Tottenham's half of the pitch. It was a moment of sheer foolishness from Bruno, who has become increasingly erratic and seems unsettled despite his role as United's captain. Ironically, a player who currently looks so lost on the field is supposed to lead the team. In the first half, United barely created any chances. Joshua Zirkzee squandered a golden opportunity, while Garnacho managed to hit the bar from close range, missing what should have been a clear goal. As the second half began, Tottenham capitalised on United's disorganisation, with Dejan Kulusevski scoring just 2 minutes after the restart. This time, Lisandro Martinez made an ill-advised early tackle, leaving the defence exposed. Neither Matthijs de Ligt nor goalkeeper Andre Onana could be blamed for this defensive lapse. Despite being down a man, United showed some signs of life when Casemiro and Christian Eriksen were introduced. They brought much-needed energy to the midfield, and several changes were made by Ten Hag in an attempt to turn the game around. Ahmad had also tried his best as a substitute. Tottenham continued to press on the counter, with Timo Werner, who had already missed 2 chances in the first half, failing to convert a couple more. Credit must go to Onana for keeping the scoreline respectable at that point. However, Tottenham eventually found their 3rd goal in the 77th minute, with Dominic Solanke placing the ball inside the bar from a corner. Throughout the match, Garnacho's presence on the field became more of a hindrance than a help, and it was baffling that Ten Hag didn't replace him with Antony sooner. It's particularly frustrating when you consider that Antony, whom the club paid £83 million for, has more pace and physicality than Garnacho. Ten Hag's insistence on starting both Bruno and Garnacho, despite their poor form, makes no sense. He knew they were not performing well, yet still trusted them to face a Tottenham side that has been in excellent form. What's more perplexing is that Spurs had just played a Europa League match on Thursday, while United had played on Wednesday. Despite the extra day's rest, United looked tired, sluggish, and devoid of any intensity, while Tottenham played with fire and energy. This sluggishness comes down to Ten Hag's failure to motivate his players and instill a sense of urgency. He doesn't seem to push the squad to work hard enough, which has been a recurring issue. Erik Ten Hag has already made some questionable decisions that have harmed the club's progress. Last season, he brought in Mason Mount from Chelsea, and that signing seemed to disrupt United's flow. The team finished a disappointing 8th, and that poor form has carried over into this season. It's clear that the Manchester United board must now take action and part ways with Ten Hag. His stubborn nature and inability to adapt will only make things worse for the club. The time has come for United to pursue a new manager, and there are several candidates who could bring about the necessary changes. Zinedine Zidane, Julian Nagelsmann, and Thomas Tuchel are all excellent options, but my personal preference is Tuchel. He has experience in the English Premier League and has proven that he can get the best out of his players. Unlike Gareth Southgate or Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, neither of whom should be considered for the role, Tuchel is known for making his teams work hard, play fast, and think strategically. What Manchester United needs now is a manager who can instill discipline, demand hard work, and build a cohesive team. Someone who can make sensible decisions, set up the best starting 11, recruit the right players, and offload those who are no longer necessary. It's not about expecting immediate success. No one is asking for that. As the saying goes, Rome wasn't built in a day. United fans understand this, but they need to see a clear plan and consistent progress, something Ten Hag has failed to deliver.